The notification came just as Emily finished folding the last of the laundry. Her phone buzzed with that familiar chime, a message from Facebook. She picked it up absent-mindedly, expecting some random memory or ad. But what popped up made her heart drop into her stomach. Lisa Lewis tagged you in a post. "Happy 70th, Mom. So grateful for this family trip." Emily blinked, reread it twice, then clicked on the photos. There they were, her mother, her brother Mark, her sister Lisa, and their spouses. All smiling in the bright sunshine, standing on a white sand beach, a hotel behind them gleaming like something out of a travel ad. In photo after photo, they laughed, toasted, and hugged their mother, their captions filled with hearts and hashtags, #family4ever and #besttrip ever. But one thing was missing, her. Emily scrolled through every single picture, waiting for a glimpse of herself, maybe a group photo she'd forgotten about. But she wasn't there. She wasn't even mentioned. Her hands began to tremble. She called Lisa right away. Her sister answered on the second ring, her voice bubbling with excitement. "Hey, Em, did you see the pictures? Wasn't it beautiful?" "Yeah," Emily said, trying to keep her tone even. "I saw them. I just didn't realize everyone was going on a trip. No one told me. There was a pause, just a heartbeat too long." Then Lisa laughed lightly. "Oh, Em, it was all so last minute. You're always so busy with work, and Mark thought you wouldn't want to take time off. Plus, someone needed to watch the kids, right? You're so good with them." Emily swallowed hard. "So you left me out because you needed a babysitter." Lisa chuckled as if it were a silly joke. "Oh, don't make it sound like that. We just thought it'd be easier for you to stay back. Mom had such a great time, though you should have seen her dancing. Anyway, I'll drop by later this week. Kids have missed you." When the call ended, Emily stared at her reflection in the dark screen of her phone. Her chest ached. She wasn't angry yet, just hollow. That night, she sat on the couch and scrolled through the photos again, torturing herself with their smiles. There was her mother, cutting into a cake that said "to the best mom ever." Her siblings flanked her, holding champagne glasses. Someone had captioned it, "All the kids together for Mom's birthday." Emily whispered to herself, "Not all of them." The silence in her apartment pressed down on her. For years, she had been the reliable one, the one who never said no. She'd helped Mark pay rent when he was struggling, babysat Lisa's kids every weekend, and spent endless nights caring for their mother when she was sick. She had always believed that love meant showing up. Now, staring at that smiling family on her phone, Emily realized something devastating. She had been showing up for people who never showed up for her. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't cry. Instead, she whispered a quiet promise to herself, not one of vengeance, not yet, but of resolve. One day, she thought, they'll know what it feels like to be left out. The weeks after the trip crawled by, heavy with unspoken hurt. Emily tried to move on, but the bitterness lingered like a shadow she couldn't shake. Every time she saw a family photo pop up in her feed, her stomach knotted. Her siblings hadn't even noticed her silence, or if they had, they didn't care enough to ask why. Instead, they acted like nothing had happened. Lisa was the first to show up again, breezing through Emily's front door without knocking, her hair pulled into a stylish bun and sunglasses perched on her head. "Hey, Em, you don't mind watching the kids for a few hours, right? I've got a brunch with the girls." Emily blinked, still in her pajamas, a mug of cold coffee on the counter. "Lisa, I have plans today." "Oh, it won't be long. You're the best, seriously." Lisa dropped her purse on the table, kissed the air near Emily's cheek, and was gone before she could protest. Emily stood there for a long moment, staring at the door. Then she turned around to see her nieces and nephews already scattering through the house, one demanding snacks, another arguing over the remote. She sighed and got to work, her plans for the day dissolving like mist. That afternoon, Lisa's few hours turned into 8. Emily saw the proof later on Instagram, a smiling selfie of Lisa and her friends holding mimosas, captioned, "Self-care day, love these ladies." The irony wasn't lost on her. Emily had spent the day scrubbing spilled juice off the rug, refereeing arguments, and cooking dinner for kids that weren't hers, all while Lisa practiced self-care. Mark wasn't much better. A week later, he dropped by with his toddler son, apologizing with a grin. "Just need to run a few errands. I'll be back before lunch." He didn't return until sunset. When Emily gently confronted him, he laughed it off. "You're amazing with kids, Em. We're lucky to have you." Lucky? That word stung more than he knew. Each small favor, each thoughtless assumption, chipped away at her patience. The family that once made her feel needed now made her feel used. Her mother called once during that time. Her voice was soft, frail but warm. "Lisa told me you've been helping with the kids again. You've always had such a kind heart." Emily smiled through the lump in her throat. "Just trying to help, Mom." There was a pause, then her mother whispered, "I'm sorry about the trip, sweetheart. It wasn't my idea." Emily closed her eyes. "I know, Mom," and she did. Her mother had always been gentle, too gentle to stand up to Lisa or Mark. That night, as she cleaned up toys from yet another favor, something inside her finally snapped. She sat on the couch, exhausted, staring at the dark television screen that reflected her own tired eyes. "What am I doing?" she thought. "When did I become everyone's backup plan?" For years she had given her time, her energy, her love, and no one had ever thought to give anything back. Emily stood, took a deep breath, and whispered into the quiet room, "No more." She didn't yet know what she would do, but for the first time she meant it. Something inside her had shifted, a small spark of self-worth flickering to life. And sparks, Emily knew, could burn brighter than anyone expected. 3 months later, autumn arrived with a chill that sank deep into Emily's bones. The days grew shorter, and so did her patience for her family's casual selfishness. She had started saying no, softly at first, then with quiet firmness that caught her siblings off guard. When Lisa asked her to watch the kids just for an afternoon, Emily simply said, "I can't." Lisa blinked in disbelief. "You can't since when?" "Since now," Emily replied, her voice steady. It was the first time she'd ever denied her sister anything. Then in late October came the call she'd been dreading. Her mother had fallen ill. Pneumonia, the doctor said, but complications made it worse. By the time Emily reached the hospital, the woman who had once been the heart of their family looked frail beneath the sterile white sheets. Her mother smiled faintly when she saw her. "My Em, you always come." Emily squeezed her hand, tears stinging her eyes. "Of course I do, Mom." Her siblings arrived later, loud, frantic, and full of guilt disguised as concern. Lisa complained about traffic. Mark checked his phone constantly. Emily stayed silent, tending to her mother, wiping her forehead, helping her sip water. A week later, Margaret Lewis passed away peacefully in her sleep. The funeral was quiet, tasteful, and cold. Lisa handled the decorations, Mark gave a stiff eulogy, and everyone acted like they were a close, grieving family. But Emily knew better. When the lawyer called them in for the reading of the will, she almost didn't go. She assumed she'd been left something small, maybe her mother's locket or a keepsake. But when she entered the lawyer's office and saw her siblings' smug faces, she decided she'd sit through it. Closure, she told herself, that's all she wanted. The lawyer, an older man with kind eyes, cleared his throat and began. "Mrs. Margaret Lewis has left clear instructions regarding her estate. After debts and funeral expenses, her remaining assets, including her house, savings, and all personal possessions, are to be inherited by her daughter, Emily Lewis." The room went silent. Lisa's mouth dropped open. "What? That's impossible." Mark's face turned red. "There must be a mistake. Mom would never. The lawyer raised a hand. She also left a letter to explain her decision. He unfolded a single sheet of paper and read aloud to my children. I have loved you all, but I have also watched you all. Emily has given without asking, her time, her patience, her love. She cared for me when I was weak, and for your children when you were absent. This home was built with love, and only she kept that love alive. I trust her to honor it. Please don't resent her instead. Learn from her, Mom. When the lawyer finished, no one spoke. Emily sat frozen, tears spilling silently down her cheeks. Lisa stood abruptly, her voice sharp with outrage. You manipulated her. You must have. Emily looked up slowly, meeting her sister's glare. No, Lisa, I just showed up. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel small. She felt seen. Winter melted into spring, and with it, Emily's grief began to soften into something else, peace. The house she'd inherited no longer felt like a monument to loss, but a quiet promise from her mother. A final act of love. At first, her siblings refused to speak to her. Lisa sent angry texts, calling her greedy. Mark threatened to contest the will, but never followed through. Deep down, they knew their mother's decision was unshakable, and Emily didn't need to defend it. Instead, she poured her energy into rebuilding the house. The once quiet rooms filled with the sound of laughter again, but this time, it wasn't her siblings' children running wild while she struggled to keep up. It was the children of working parents who trusted her enough to pay her for her time. She named the daycare Margaret's House, after her mother. Bright murals of flowers covered the walls, and her mother's old rocking chair sat in the corner of the reading nook. For the first time, Emily was doing what she loved, caring for others, but on her own terms. It felt good to give, but even better to finally receive. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the windows, Emily heard a knock at the door. When she opened it, Lisa stood there, her expression sheepish. She looked thinner, tired, her usual confidence dimmed. Hey, Em, she said softly. I'd heard about the daycare. It's beautiful, thank you. Emily replied cautiously. Lisa shifted from foot to foot. I have a big job interview tomorrow, and my babysitter canceled last minute. Could you watch the kids? Emily finished for her. Lisa gave a small, hopeful smile. Just for a few hours. You've always been so good with them. For a moment, Emily almost agreed out of habit. But then she remembered all the weekends lost, the missed dinners, the tears she'd swallowed while everyone else laughed without her. She took a breath. You can register them here. We charge by the hour. Lisa blinked, stunned. You're charging me. Emily smiled, kind but firm. Yes, Lisa. I don't babysit for free anymore. Lisa's lips parted like she wanted to argue, but the words never came. She just nodded slowly and murmured, right, of course. Then she turned and walked away, her pride trailing behind her like a wounded animal. When the door closed, Emily felt something lift from her chest, not victory but release. That evening, she walked through her mother's garden. The air smelled of jasmine and wet earth, and the wind hummed softly through the trees. The garden lights glowed like fireflies, and for a moment she could almost hear her mother's voice. You did well, sweetheart. Emily smiled, tilting her face toward the stars. I hope so, Mom. The betrayal had once felt unbearable, but standing there now, surrounded by the life she'd built, Emily understood something deeper. Revenge didn't always come from hurting those who hurt you. Sometimes it came from healing yourself so completely that their cruelty no longer mattered. Her family had excluded her from their version of love, but her mother had seen her heart clearly, and in that truth, Emily finally found her peace.